Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. Today is the 24th of July 2023, and these are the stories that we will be discussing in detail during the course of our show. We'll begin, ladies and gentlemen, with our first segment that is based on Pakistan agriculture, and Pakistan, of course, being an agriculture-based economy. Now, Green Pakistan flagship project was initiated today in a very lavish ceremony. The inaugural ceremony of the Khanewal Modern Agricultural Farm happened today, in fact, this afternoon. This is an inaugural ceremony of the Green Pakistan's flagship project. A model farm will be grown on 250 acres of land, and of course this FonGrow, which is the name of this model farm, there has been a survey regarding this also, which will be underway, and as per this survey the land will be cultivated. This is of course a continuation of what the government is trying to do in order to make agriculture a more sustainable and a strong sector of our economy. This is going to be our first segment. Our second story of the day, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the holy month of Muharram Haram. Now, Muharram, of course, as we all know, is the first month of the Islamic calendar. It marks the start of the Islamic New Year. The meaning of Muharram, as you all know, it means forbidden, referring to the fact that it is one of the 4 sacred months in which warfare is forbidden. The importance, the significance of Muharram al-Haram will be discussed in our second segment. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about the relationship between the United States of America and Pakistan. The U.S. Central Command Chief, General Michael Eric Kurilla, has met the Chief of the Army Staff, General Aslam, and has recognized Pakistan's continued efforts for bringing peace and stability to the region. The fact remains that Pakistan and the US have had a strong relationship over the decades, and this relationship continues to strengthen under this new government. And finally, we'll be talking about contaminated eye drops that have been made in India and sold by 2 US distributors in boxes stamped with the drug inventory numbers that the Food and Drug Administration has issued. And now there have been a lot of cases of infections that have come because of the usage of these eye drops. Why did the proper regulation not take place before these eye drops were used? A lot of question marks emanate. This is going to be our last story. Let's begin, ladies and gentlemen, with our first story, and that concerns agri-farming, the importance of agriculture as a sustainable sector of our economy, and how the current government is trying to do its utmost in order to further strengthen it. More in the following report.
Food security is also a national security challenge. Past experiences have shown that sudden spikes in food prices or food shortages can lead to social unrest and create tensions between provinces. The cutting-edge corporate agriculture farming, as part of flagship project Green Pakistan initiative, has been launched to take Pakistan agriculture to new heights. A model farm called FonGrow has been established in Pirowal area of Khanewal, which is the first practical step towards a modern agricultural revolution in Pakistan. FonGrow is a system under which corporate farming will be introduced, use of quality seeds, modern irrigation, modern machinery will be promoted, timely support of farmers will be done, and through use of modern technology. This is a one-of-its-kind agricultural system spread over 2,250 acres in Khanewal, which is planned to be expanded to 100,000 acres in 5 years. Pakistan's agriculture needs to be expanded both horizontally and vertically with a view to increasing the area under cultivation and enhancing per acre yield, and FonGrow is simultaneously targeting both these goals. To implement a comprehensive and sustainable strategy, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has already inaugurated the Land Information and Management System Centre of Excellence aimed at enhancing food security, agri-exports, as well as transforming millions of acres of uncultivated and low-yield land across Pakistan.
We discuss agriculture as a very important sector of our economy and all the initiatives that have been taken by the current government. We've been joined in the studios by Dr. Manzoor Ahmad. He's a former director of Food and Agriculture Organization, otherwise known as the FAO. He's here with us to discuss more about this and other factors that are strengthening our agricultural sector. Dr. Manzoor, thank you very much to have joined us. Dr. Manzoor, when you look at the agriculture sector in Pakistan, in your point of view, how can projects like the one that has been initiated today, the FonGrow, can achieve the goal of not only reducing foreign dependency through enhanced local production, but also further strengthen our agricultural sector?
Yeah, I feel it's extremely important. In fact, if you look at CPEC, the first part was this energy and then communication, roads, etc. But the next part was agriculture. And unfortunately, it got delayed. It should have started much earlier. But okay, late, but it's okay even now, because you see, I mean, Pakistan, I think number 2 biggest import after petroleum is agriculture and food, etc. You know, something like 16 to 20% of that, depending on the international prices. You know, like we saw it 2 years ago. This with Ukraine war, the prices have really gone up. Now they're a little bit less by 10, 15, but you never know. It's again, there's a problem started. I mean, Russia is already blocking that. So this might again jump. So this is extremely important to have food security. But it's not just food security. It's because we are always running for getting some loans, some this. And this, we have, you know, abundant, if you look at our land, for example, Pakistan, something like 54 million acres. Just about half is somehow cultivated, and not really very efficiently, but at least cultivated. The other half is left out. That's just the capacity that we have. The other thing is that you know, for example, just look at Gulf. You know, they'll be spending some money in this. They are interested because they have huge imports. They want to ensure their food security as well. And their even current today's imports are something like $40 to $50 billion. So it's a huge opportunity for Pakistan.
At the same time, on the one hand, it is a huge opportunity for Pakistan. On the other hand, looking at food security, the issues that other countries are also, you know, facing because of different geopolitical or geostrategic situations. When you look at crops that could have, you know, lesser use of water, lesser use of fertilizer, and could still generate much better output, how important is this also for a country like Pakistan that has gone through floods last year, that is going through floods this year, and we don't know what will happen in the years to come?
Yes, I think this is another very important issue, because we waste a lot of water. You know, 80 to 90% of our water goes in agriculture, and it's flood. I mean, they flood the fields for, you know, rice and other crops, and it's most of it gets wasted. It's not used very efficiently. Like, you know, like for example, Israel, or we are not even comparable. But even, you know, in India and some other countries, they also made a lot of progress on this drip agriculture and more efficient use of this thing. So that is one thing that this. And the other thing is that we have to be more careful about what crop exactly. You know, if a certain crop needs too much water, and we can grow another crop which gets us twice the price, why not go for that, you know, rather than doing that? So it's I think this will have to be very carefully looked at, this use of water, waste of water.
All right. Dr. Manzoor, another thing that is very important is the collaboration of all the farmers community. I understand that a lot of farmers are used to certain methodologies that they have been going with for decades. To make them understand the importance of new technologies, new mechanisms, where modern machinery will be used, where the modern irrigation methods will be used, how easy or difficult do you feel the task will be?
I think initially the task will be difficult, but then there's another side to it, that there's a lot of land lying just like that because it needed investment, it needed big machinery. And I think through this, at least this side will be, you know, but we have lots of success, like you look at these Jahangir Tareen farms. That's corporate farming. And you know, the kind of progress, the whole area has changed, the whole outlook of that area has changed. But if you have these small holders, 1 or 2 acres, etc., just living, it's very difficult. I mean, you know, for example, this labor has been, as for the last few years, unfortunately, our manufacturing has not done very well. Otherwise, this lot of farmers would have already moved into some other, but they're likely to move, as happened in everywhere. In every other country, this farming used to be 30–40% of the labor. Now, because of becoming more efficient, they move to other things. They move to services, they move to manufacturing. And you know, in any developed country, it's not more than 5% now, because of this efficiency through machinery.
Dr. Manzoor, when you look at the practices that have been under process or being used by the agricultural community since the last few decades, when you look at the national security challenge that we are facing, how important is the revolutionization of the agriculture sector? How important is the Green Pakistan initiative?
It is extremely important because we tried, I think, in 2001 this corporate farming, but didn't work. We never really went seriously into agriculture. I mean, you know, for example, the first big revolution was in the 60s, and it really took off. At one time, they were thinking that people in Pakistan will starve, but that green revolution, that new variety of wheat, Mexipark, etc., that revolutionized. And the productivity went up very significantly. But since then, it's been falling, you know, falling about 2%. Now look at Pakistan, for example, any major crop. Look at cotton, for example. Few years ago, we were growing 14 million bales of cotton. Now that's, instead of from 14 going to 20 or 26 or 25, doubling, it's halved. You know, 8 million now. So we have to import, and we have to import it all the way from Brazil and US and Central Asia, etc. And on the other hand, if you look at just cotton, look at India, the way it's gone up, China, the way they're exporting to the whole world, and we are not even meeting our own needs.
So it means, Dr. Manzoor, that we need to lessen our dependence and we need to be more independent and more on our 2 feet when it comes to our agricultural sector. Now, looking at another project that our Prime Minister also inaugurated, the LIMS, the Land Information and Management STEM System Center of Excellence. This and now this the project that has been inaugurated today, how important will these projects be to optimize our agricultural output? Because you have just been talking about how we need to lessen our dependence.
Yes, both these are needed. They will just, you know, come, because if you don't know where is the land, how much is this, what's happening, we have no. Our statistics are, you know, very antiquated and they're not reliable. But this project will ensure, will take care of that. Once we have the numbers, I think then we can move quickly on the other side, Green Pakistan initiative. And, you know, luckily, everything is coming together. I mean, there's money available. You know, Gulf countries, somehow they have these huge sovereign funds which they want to invest. And they want to invest in countries like Pakistan. You know, they also spend a lot of money in India. But they also want to, because we were somehow left out, and so it's you know, so this is available, and unfortunately, I don't know whether you are going to ask her, but our 2 or 3 things were really not working well. One, we didn't give too much attention to our seeds. You know, we were always, you know, if there's a modern seed somewhere, for say Monsanto. They say, why, but you know, why do we have to pay every year so much? But you have to pay because if you get the output is 3 times more, and you spend a little bit, it has to be done.
And you know, seeds that will be less impacted by pesticides, where I mean we will use less and less, or even no pesticides, or less insect infestation and less use of water. You know, these are things that are very important.
Yes, very important. And give you an example, say, of this G1 garlic in Pakistan. This was developed by our own Pakistan, and we did it in our own land, and so it's my personal experience.
All right.
Whatever we put that, and we just got our first crop, it's 7 times. The production is 1 to 7. You know, we dried, otherwise it was much more, but dried seed, what we put in 6 months ago, now it's 7 times more.
All right.
And these things like that.
I think that is very important. So the estimate that they say that if these projects go on as it has been estimated, $30 to $50 billion in Pakistan over the next 3 to 4 years, is that achievable?
I think it is achievable because the quantum of land is huge, 27 million acres, and there will be, I think they are going to give, I should say, sectors or whatever areas. So some Qatar will take, some Saudi Arabia, some under CPEC, maybe there'll be collaboration. I think the various, for example, Pakistan Army will also be collaborator. Our private sector would be collaborator, and the money. So it's going to be threefold collaboration, and I think that's why the absorption capacity will be much higher than otherwise it would have been.
How important is public-private partnership? You just mentioned.
It's very important, because you just cannot leave it to the private sector completely, because their motive is always profit. And agriculture is one thing you can't let, like health sector, like education, you cannot just let there. So there has to be some control for it. But on the other hand, if you just leave it to the public sector, we have seen that, especially Pakistan or anywhere in the world, the public sector corporations, where they're not very efficient. So you need that input, somebody to manage it from the private sector. So both combine together.
All right. Also, I'd like to understand, when you look at initiatives such as the Green Pakistan Initiative, and you look at the past as well, we've seen a lot of agriculture research centers that opened but did not continue to work as efficiently as they should have. Many of them kind of dwindled in the decades, especially in the 1960s. In your point of view, how important is it for initiatives such as the Green Pakistan one to be utilized properly to bolster our agricultural research as well?
You see, those unfortunately, whatever research organization in Pakistan, whether it's Pakistan Council of Scientific Research, PCSIR, or Pakistan Agriculture Research Council, anywhere you see, whatever the budget, 90%, 95% goes in salary. So there's nothing left for research. So they have to make sure that this is for HR, this is for paying salaries, and this much is for research. I think that's what went wrong. So they have to take care of that.
Also, we see the increased food inflation rate that is causing more and more lower income groups to get access to proper food. How can initiatives such as this one help them?
Well, two ways. One, there'll be far bigger use of machinery that we ever had, and also that will have a, what you call that effect, that it would trickle down effect. I mean, they would see all this huge, but they would also get encouraged, because they would see because of this there'll be new varieties of everything coming in the country. And if you look at some crops, say like maize is really doing this corner. This is doing amazingly well. It's private sector, government doesn't really intervene, and the production has been going up and up. And so this, I think, with this introduction of private sector and the best practices, I think this is going to be a big success.
Dr. Manzoor, agriculture contributes to around 23% of our GDP as we speak. Can we increase that percentage with mechanisms and initiatives such as this one?
Why not? I mean, for example, next door India, it used to be a big importer of wheat and everything. Last year they exported $50 billion of food products. So why can't we? This is a more fertile area. So look at like this. So we have, say, some imports of everything, something like 20 billion. And if we don't import that, meet our own needs, that's 20 billion saved, and at least 20 billion another. I think that will completely take care of our problems.
All right. Dr. Manzoor, we all know what Pakistan has gone through with the floods last year. This year also there have been casualties. We don't know what the next years have in store for us. How important, and what, in your point of view, should be the roadmap for climate smart farming?
You see, there was when this floods came in 2010, I think, and I think the current Prime Minister was then the Chief Minister, and he put up a commission to look into it, how we make the best use of these floods. So they invited international experts, the local experts, and also they went around to some other countries to see how they did. And one of the projects most impressive was in China, this Yangtze River. They used to have every 2 years same thing, many people getting killed, all this, and they were able to, they were able to do it in various ways. Somewhere they put some dams, somewhere other water holding lakes, etc. And the problem finished. And so they, at the time, I think it was Justice Manzoor, who is now in the Supreme Court, he had suggested that we should do the same thing here. And this report has been lying now for 10, 11 years. They need to dust off that report. And this is a very comprehensive report. I've seen it, I've read it. And they need to do this. And I think the problem will be, the flood problem at least will be resolved to a great extent.
All right. Finally, I'd like to also refer to a United Nations report that is entitled Hunger Hotspots. It warns of deterioration to the food security situation in Pakistan and other countries as well. Are we implementing, in your point of view, the right strategy to address food shortage? Do you feel that use of precision agriculture practices could help us?
You see, so far, unfortunately, it wasn't there. I mean, we missed many years. But I think a start is being made, and hopefully, if I'm still around and you call
Inshallah.
me in 3, 4 years, and you'll see, I mean, it will be a different country.
All right, thank you so very much, Dr. Manzoor Ahmad, to have joined us. You are former director of the Food and Agriculture Organization. You understand how important agriculture is as a sector for Pakistan. How important is it for us to give the right initiatives, to give the right boost to this sector, so that we also as a nation can benefit from it in the long run.
Thank you for this opportunity, because having served with FAO, I wanted to give my expertise, but unfortunately this is the first time you invite me on agriculture.
No problem. I think we'll inshallah have a lot of other times to discuss that as well. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. Let's come to our second segment, and that concerns the holy month of Muharram Haram. Now, as you very well know, this is the first month of the Islamic calendar. It marks the start of the Islamic New Year. But there are a lot of important dates that are concerned with this holy month as well, whether it be the 1st of Muharram, the death anniversary of Omar bin Khattab, the 2nd of Muharram, Hussein ibn Ali, who entered Karbala and established his camp, and Yazid's forces who were present surrounding him. 7th of Muharram, after Yazid's order, access to water was banned for Hussein ibn Ali, 8th of Muharram, martyrdom of Zainul Abidin, son of Hussein ibn Ali. And 9th of Muharram, the evening of the date that is considered important as the next day, 10th of Muharram, is the day when Hussein ibn Ali and Abbas ibn Ali were martyred along with their household, leaving only Zainul Abidin as the only male survivor of the Karbala. This is an important month. This is a month that we need to reflect on. We need to understand not only the sacrifices of important people from our Muslim world, but also how we can use the same philosophy in our modern day world, whether it be sacrificing our soul, whether it be sacrificing our needs for the benefit of those who we love, those who are around us. We've been joined by Aslam Khaki Saab, religious scholar online. Thank you very much, Khaki Saab, to have joined us. It's a pleasure to talk different important topics with you. Now, let's come to Muharram Haram. Now, Muslim world, of course, we all know that it is observing this sacred month. But how important is understanding the importance of this sacred month also, to understand the struggle that was made by all those Muslims there so many centuries back in this present context, and apply it to the Muslim Ummah under the present conditions?
Thank you for having me in your show. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In these words, you can say that we are going through the mourning ceremonies of martyrdom of Imam Hussain and his family. Much has been said, much has been spoken on the occasion, on the historical event, which I don't need for repetition. As far as the mission of Imam Hussain is concerned, it has some aims and messages. The simple background of that movement or that mission was that after the death of Amir Muawiyah, his evil son Yazid, he took over the reins of the government unilaterally on the basis of his forces, to which the people could not react actively, though they were just taking it to their heart that it is an evil, but due to some reason they could not react effectively. But Imam Hussain he just made some talk with the governor of Medina and the people who were around Yazid, but it failed. So he just opted to migrate instead of just going for the conflict, because Imam Hussain, why did Imam Hussain opted to leave the Medina and Mecca and go for the Kufa. The wisdom behind was that Imam Hussein has seen the tragedies, the disasters of Jang-e-Jamal and Jang-e-Safwan, in which the two parts of the Sahaba, they collided and it resulted in many deaths. So he did not want to make such situation again. So he opted for the peace. So in other words, we can say that the mission of Imam Hussein in migration was in leaving the holy cities was the peace, to maintain the peace in the situation. So he did not go for the clash and then opted for the peace. So this is a message that you should opt for the peace and leave the place where there is conflict, and such conflict cannot be resolved through, you can say, negotiation and otherwise. But in this plan, we can also see that sometimes your strategies or our strategies as planned, they do not go uninterrupted by your allies. So as it happened in the war of Badr and Uhud, that the Jewish tribes, Banu Qurayza and Banu Qaynuqa, they decepted and they deceived the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and they left for the enemy. Same particular situation was there, that the Kufa people, they just invited the Holy Imam to come to them, and they would just host him and would be their ally or their friend or supporter. But on the occasion when Imam was on the way and very close to the Kufa, he got the news that they have just gone back. So it is, you can say, idiom, Kufi la Yufi. That the Kufi people, they do not go with their commitment. Another message is that it is better to die for the truth than living with the tyranny and the oppression. As some poet, perhaps Qatil, has said, Qatil us shakhs se zalim nahi koi, jo zulm to sehta hai, baghawat nahi karta. And I can recall a statement of a scholar. He said that if you do not stand with the truth or with the haqq, then history has no concern with your feeling that if you spend your night in the mosque or in the dancing club. So it is the main test of a good man is that he stands with the truth and not with the, you can say, the bad people or bad group. So now the question which is raised that at one hand, Imam Hussein was going for the revival of the democratic political system of Islam, which was just introduced by his Nana or grandfather, Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he wanted that there should be shurayat, the person who is claiming or going for the caliphate must have the confidence of the people. But on the same time, we see, and the people say that even Imam, after Imam Ali, Hazrat Ali, there was Imam Hassan, and Imam Hussein was apparently or allegedly claiming the caliphate on the basis of being or belonging to the holy destiny of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the situation is that he was not claiming the caliphate on the basis of his belonging to a particular family, but on the basis of his entitlement, in which his belonging to the family was an evidence that he was reared and there in the family where he saw the Holy Prophet ﷺ directly doing the thing, listening to the hadith of the Holy Prophet without any intervention of the reporter, and then he just enjoyed the lap and the bearing or rearing of the Holy Fatima, who was the daughter of the Holy Prophet. All these, and Hazrat Ali, all that members of the society caused the Imam Hussein in a very high position of training, tarbiyat or rearing. So that was his eligibility. So I always say that Imam Hussein's claim was on the basis of merit, and his belonging to the Holy Family was an evidence for that entitlement or for that eligibility. So in this situation, we all should understand the messages, and those messages are just still alive. Now, the other thing is that, as Quran says, that وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ يُقْتَلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٌ بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ وَلَكِنْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ. Don't call the people who went martyred in the way of Allah as the dead people. No, look at how they are not dead. They are just still here. But Quran says that they are enjoying a life which you cannot conceive. That is that they are alive through their mission. As the scientists who are no more with us, they live with their scientific invention, Madame Curie and other people, or other missionary people, we can say, in the present era, ED, or other, even Muslim, non-Muslim people who just work for the mission of any type for the humanity, they are still remembered through their mission. So Imam Hussein is not with us physically, rather he is enjoying that life with the Allah Almighty. As Quran says, in the Rabbihim yurzaqun, that they get their food with their Allah Almighty. I mean that they are alive, but they are alive with Allah Almighty, enjoying the bounties of Allah. But in the here they are just alive with their mission. And thus we can see that every year, every after a few intervals, his memories are recorded, refreshed. So Imam Hussein, is all alive in this world through his mission and alive physically with Allah Almighty, enjoying the bounties for which he has done as a reward.
Dr. Khaki, I'd like to also understand the Battle of Karbala that happened in this very holy month of Muharram, on the 10th of Muharram, in fact, 61st year of the Islamic calendar. How has this battle of a small group of Muslims against the tyranny of a larger army helped shape the Muslim Ummah in this day and age?
Yeah, that is. Even Quran says that basically, as we see that Imam had no intention of just waging war, because the war is between the two forces which are parallel or compatible to each other. He had only a family of 72 weak, you can say, women and children. How can somebody say that he was going for a war? Even this Karbala tragedy is not a war, whether it was an attack and aggression by the Yazid force on the innocent family, holy family of Imam Hussein. So it was neither a war. But on the other hand, it is a message, as Quran says, "Kam min fiyatin qalilatin ghalabat fiyatan kathiratan bi-iznillah." That you see in the history, there were many groups who were small in number, but they overcome the larger group with the izn of Allah, with the permission or with the law of Allah Almighty, that they have some you can say purpose and aim and will. So there are multiple messages in the mission of Imam Hussein.
Dr. Khaki, how can we as Muslims in the 21st century take advantage of the benefits of this sacred month, all the messages that some of which that you have described earlier in the show, but also a lot of other messages that we have not yet discussed? How can we take advantage and become better Muslims?
Yeah, we can just take the messages which I have just a few of them have been cited by me, that we should side with the truth, with the right position in all our circumstances, as per our own, you can say, strategies, as per our own capacities. Number one. Number two, even in this era, we can see that the people stand for the truth, though they are smaller in number. So we should always show the peace rather than the conflict. So there should be peace in the world, and that is for avoiding conflict, even at the cost of our lives sometimes, as it happened there. And the second is that we should stand for the truth always, according to our own capacities, our own pedestal. Some may just come with the force, some may just speak for the truth, and they are not in position to combat with force the evil forces. And some people may not be evil, they may not be able to just stay with the world's evil. They are so weak enough, so they can at least see it that it is an evil. And whenever they find some time, they should come forward. And there is a message, even Quran says, "Alam takun ardullahi wasi'atan fatuhajiru fiha." That in the hereafter, the people who were weak in some area, they will say, "Oh Allah Almighty, who could not do good things, we cannot check the evils because we were weak enough." Allah would say, "Alam takun ardullahi wasi'atan." Was my land not wide enough that you should have migrated to the better place? And this is the purpose of migration, The Holy Prophet ﷺ just migrated to the Holy Medina. So what is migration? Migration is just traveling from the unpleasant circumstances to the pleasant circumstances or enabling circumstances for a mission. So this is also a message for us, and we can do it as per our own capacity, even in this era.
Dr. Khaki, what are the messages for the contemporary world? If you look today, in this day and age across the world, due to complex geostrategic or geopolitical issues, our religion, that is Islam, our faith, and the people that represented, that the Muslims, are being wrongfully tainted in a very negative light. This has given rise to what we call Islamophobia. How can we address Islamophobia in the light of all the principles that you have just talked about earlier in the show, and what these 10 days of Muharram al-Haram also taught the Muslims then and also still teach the Muslims today in this age?
Yeah, in these days when there is, you can say, an environment of Islamophobia and resultantly some desecration of the holy book, in this context, the Muslims should show their patience and should propagate by their conduct and by their words that they are peaceful people and Islam believes in peace. So if some group, Muslim group or tiny group, just manifests itself negatively, just it commits some events of the terrorism, they do not represent the Muslim community, nor they represent Islam. As there were crusades and there was bad events by some group, a tiny group of Christians, but we can't say that this is the teaching of the Christianity or general conduct of the Christian community. So we want to teach it. Even as far as this desecration of the holy book is concerned, we just had the idea, I just gave the idea that the Muslims should manifest and should recite those verses of Holy Quran in which the Holy Mary has been testified his sacred position, and the Holy Christ birth has been just evidence, and that has been made truthful, and it testifies the Christian teaching and the Christian or Messiah, Holy Christ and the virginity of the Holy Mary. So when even the Christian people, they would get across of that situation, then they would say, oh yes, Quran is also our book. So this is the position which we can say positively. And as far as at international level, UN level, and all that, we are seeing that we can see the silver line in the dark, you can say, horizon, that now even the Christians, their Pope and UN, human rights, all they are condemning the such situation of desecration. And the law is emerging by the United Nations and by the Security Council, in which that would be checked and proper particular legislation would be made against any contempt of the holy personage or desecration of any holy book. So they should not feel that there is Islamophobia.
Dr. Khaki, also how important is it for us as Muslims to be more humane in this day and age, under the looking at the history of our religion, of our Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and of course of this holy month of Muharram al-Haram? How important is it to guide ourselves under these institutions, under these important historical lessons, and be not only better human beings but better Muslims, not only for us but for all the non-Muslims across the world, so that we can change this image of Islam?
Yeah, we can tell the history of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The people just take the history of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam from his war, but they don't know, or they don't just analyze the situation or the background in which he had to just, he was constrained to just defend his nation. He migrated from Mecca, did not confront with that, though he was under oppression, so he went migration. The migration proves that he wanted peace and not the conflict. Then when he went there, the Badr and Uhud and trenches, all these spots were around the Medina, and the Mushrikeen or his enemies, they traveled from their area to the area of the Holy Prophet to attack them. That is evidence, even legally. It is an evidence that who did travel for the other. So they wanted operation. So the Holy Prophet just fought the war in defense. And in war of trenches, he just even wanted not to compete with the force. That's why they dug the trenches to avoid any conflict. Same case then lastly, and at the end, Imam Hussein, he migrated with family, not with the force. He migrated from the holy cities to Kufa to avoid any conflict. But he was interrupted by Yazid's force and attacked and were martyred and unilaterally without any, you can say, even defense. They had no defense even. So the message is that you should avoid the conflict at the maximum, and you should also prepare for yourself for just curbing the operation, and you can migrate if you are not able to just combat with the force, the evil forces. And we should promote the message of peace as well as message standing for the truth. Parallel, these are the messages.
Dr. Khaki, the message of peace, as you talked about during our conversation, is primordial, is important as far as what history teaches us, as far as what this holy month of Muharram al-Haram teaches us, the sacrifices of all our important Muslim leaders is concerned. How can we move forward with peace in the right frame of mind? And if the other party or any other country or any nation does not understand the language of peace, what are the alternatives that we have under the guidelines shown by our leaders during the holy month of Muharram al-Haram in order to not only ascertain a better position for ourselves as Muslims, but also create stronger linkages?
Yeah, because it's in two steps. Initially, we should just start with the, you can say, message of peace, just understanding, negotiation, dialogue. But if the enemy does not understand the language of peace and dialogue, and we are in a position to just react, then it is our duty to react to that, not to become just a passive agent and let him to make aggression upon us. So that's why one English writer has just portrayed the personage of the Holy Prophet ﷺ for war, when the people were blaming the Holy Prophet for waging war. He said that, oh, you see the history. The Holy Prophet ﷺ, he just tolerated the oppression of the enemies of the Mecca in Mecca for 13 years. He did not react to that. So he migrated to Holy Medina to avoid that conflict. But the enemies followed him in Mecca and just came to attack him. And then he goes on writing a very beautiful sentence. He said, then the Holy Prophet, the Holy Muhammad stood like an Arab and said, enough is enough. Now I have to defend my nation and my land. So that's a very beautiful message that initially you should avoid the conflict, but if it is unavoidable and enemy is going to just override, then you should stand like the Holy Prophet Muhammad.
All right, thank you so very much, Dr. Aslam Khaki, to have joined us, to have talked to us about the significance of this holy month of Muharram al-Haram and what are the different messages that emanate from it, whether it be for the Muslims in that era, whether it be for the Muslims in the 21st century. Let's come to our last two stories very quickly. The first is on the US Central Command Chief General Michael Eric Kurilla, who met with the Chief of the Army Staff of our Pakistan Army, General Asif Munir, and recognized Pakistan's continued efforts for bringing peace and stability to the region. The visiting dignitary also appreciated Pakistan Army's success in the fight against terrorism and Pakistan's continued efforts for bringing peace and stability in the region. And this is important in the context of the relationship that both the countries enjoy, because this is also something that Pakistan wants, and this is something that apparently the US wants as well, to further strengthen and make this relationship broad-based. Let's see where this relationship moves along in the coming months and years. Let's come to our last story, and that concerns contaminated eye drops that were made in India that have given rise to infections of a bacteria of Pseudomonas aerogonisa that can now spread even among those people who have not come into contact with the original source. This is extremely troublesome because these are eye drops that have been sanctioned by the Food and Drug Authority, that are available normally without any issue in the United States of America. And the fact remains that a lot of question marks emanate as to why such drugs are available that can cause infection, that can, instead of making things better, will make things worse. The fact remains also that this is not the first time that drugs that were made in India have been shown to be inefficient or not doing what they need to, in fact have done exactly the opposite. Let's see what the Food and Drug Authority comes with a solution in the coming days, and also how it's going to reprimand India and the pharmaceutical companies that represent and that have been selling these eye drops. With that, we come to an end of today's newsroom. See you inshallah tomorrow with new story segments that pertain to us, you, and Pakistan. Allah Hafiz.